that way.
Yeah, and I think, right now, if you put an intake down there, if it tees over, it has to go underneath the road to pick up. And I wonder if just brainstorming, if you put a big intake in there, you'd be better off going, that way rather than east, but, get it across the road, underneath the road, and head north.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's changed since '71. Obviously, things have, are different because, this area here has got looks like some kind of a junction box, and then there is a pipe going south. Whether those two are tied together, I guess, I don't know. It's going to take some more research to try to figure out what's there. But somehow, this one of the problems with the water coming down in front of the church and getting to the corner. That's within the road right away. Something needs to be done there, to try to improve, put a different intake in there. I mean, the one that's in there is just a flat grate that's covered with trash, and then if nobody cleans it off, it also gets covered with silt because there's quite a bit of silt in that area, probably 3 or 4 inches on top of the ground.
I think you also need to look at and consider keeping part of it on the west side of the road. Somehow.
Yeah, that's gonna, the problem is, all those property owners put driveways in, they're small pipe.
Well, but that probably will
See,
be
I don't
part
think
of
that was
it.
ever if you took the road out, looked at the landscape without the road, I mean, that water is heading over here. I mean,
That's,
the intent,
if you took the road out,
Well, I understand that, but we now have the road, and we've got a problem, and we need to somehow figure out how we can. I mean, you're in an 8-inch rain, you're not going to do anything, but if this is happening, in smaller increments, and they're underwater every time, we need to figure out somehow how we can improve the capacity.
you almost, we almost need to bid out.
That'd be fine.
It's somewhat complicated deal early, but it's just,
yeah, this is a lot more.
a lot more to it.
A lot more stuff in the way.
Part of the problem is, years ago, like the property owners, supposed to, that street just evolved over time, and that road needed to be brought up. But all those businesses along there, then if you walk out the front door of the grocery store, the boat, you'd be going, you'd have to go up 4 or 5 feet, kind of like my Wally used parts. So they just left the road at the low level, so everybody's how, and it goes back, back to when there's hay fields and more fences, and, all the fence lines served as terraces, and, water just runs harder. Sure.
Well, back when there was no building in the day, I mean, this is still boat storage, and that was past here. But apparently, the water was coming, when it had heavy rains, it was coming across those areas.
Yeah.
And they're wide open, and you've got shallow flow probably. But now you're trying, with all the buildings he's built in there, you're concentrating the flow to a narrower area. It's going to run faster, and that's why he gets, granular material washing off in between the buildings. And then, of course, it starts, floating as boats and gets stored down. I'm not sure whether he's had water in his garage building or not.
Oh, it gets close, but
It's surprising a little bit with water that's
I think
coming across here.
the one thing we
get
focus
water.
on is upgrading the drain on the southwest corner of the intersection. Getting the water to go, instead of going over the road all the time, get the water under the road, whether we take it, with a new pipe north, or whether we do investigate and see if we can tie it in. It's tied in, I think it's going, the drains, it goes over east, like that line shows.
Well, this one showed that in going north, but again, we haven't, researched anything, I think, since '71. But Mike said that he was down, I think he must have been in that manhole one time looking, and he said, yeah, there's tile lines coming from all different directions. But, the problem with the intake that's there now is that it won't take any trash before it covers up you know, it needs to be a different style of intake that will take, trash itself and let the water carry it on through. Whether that 10-inch line, whether it's actually on a 10-inch line, I have no idea.
So he's right now pretty sure that that's covered with crap and that
The intake,
it doesn't allow much.
yeah, we were looking for it this morning, Donnie was at a probe and we finally, with the probe found it, and it had corn stalks and trash on top of it. And then, whether this other intake is still there, whether that one's disappeared over the years, I don't know. I'll have to try to talk to some people and find out. But, Mike right now has got a flag set down here, and his intent is to go in there and clean that ditch out and build that berm up a little bit so that the water, goes, that fills the two crossroad pipes there, and they're 48 inch and takes the water to the east side.
But do you want to direct all of that? I still think you ought to. You don't want it all
That's where the water's supposed to
I
run.
mean, that's where the natural flow was, that's, the way it was designed. I mean, that's why these pipes aren't as big as they are.
But aren't you going to compound this guy's trouble right there if you do that?
I'd say you're not gonna make it any worse now, because the water's almost all getting there now anyhow. If there's trouble in now, it's running down the road to these driveways, you go down your look, you'll see it's carried all the trash. And as it ran across the road, it carried all the trash to the east side of the road.
Well,
Maybe we should
should
eat
run down
lunch.
and look.
We could eat lunch and like, we can ride my pickup.
I mean, there's a combination of problems there. I'm not sure what the total solution is.
Yeah, why don't you keep researching it, we'll go down and look at it, revisit it, next week or the week after that, 2 weeks.
Part of the problem are within the road right away, and it's stuff that's they're gonna need to take care of. Some of the other stuff, I guess I have no idea what kind of agreement, haven't found anything on this stretch here. But I haven't, we haven't had a whole lot of time to look either to see whether there's a road or access easement on top of that tile or not, I don't know. This one here, in 91, when they replaced this, they got easements from 2 people on each side of that. This gal here's got to build a garage under her house, and I don't know. Donnie says it's not on top of the line, it's close to
Yeah, I walked it then. The line's just east of that building.
the house.
But it's she's in the vacuum cleaner business. She sells curb. That's her house.
There's a house here, and then
Yeah, that's her
a
house.
new building going up.
Her house, yeah, it's Julie Cruz. It's her house, and that brick built, that's her business building.
That she's building further to the east.
Yeah, right across from the farm cafe. Okay. Did
Donnie,
you find anything on the bike trail, those 3 culverts where they're always filling up with corn stalks?
um,
Do we have any agreement with the DNR on those?
those 3 culverts, Donnie and I we haven't found anything. Those 3 culverts were put in there when they put the trail in, and Donnie thinks they're outside of our right of way, that our right of way doesn't even cover where the water's running, I should say, coming from the south. We haven't looked to see what we've got.
Well,
But this morning,
The water's flowing. I looked at, last week after the big rain, and now most of those corn stalks are gone. They've gone, floated underneath.
yeah, well, Donnie, I don't remember what time you called me. Donnie and Chris went down there about 11 o'clock on Thursday. And I told him to check the water level, from one side of those 3 culverts to the other side. He said they found it, there was only 500's difference between the water level on both sides, which tells me the stalks, even though they're floating there, and there's a big mass of them, because they were probably, 100 foot back from the culvert, the whole thing.
They're all
was
gone.
just-
And then you drive through that water down to that boat ramp, the duck hunters. There's a 48-inch pipe downstream. And